What up, YouTube? What up, Twitch? Welcome to NFL Week 3 predictions. Here to make my predictions. How wrong am I going to be? Well, I'm getting slightly better. There was another tie last week. So, week 1, I was 6 for 15. And last week, I was 7 for 15. So, we're only going up. By that means I'll get 8 games, most likely, half the games right. So you gotta listen to me, because I'll get at least half of them right. Okay. Well, here we go. Let's start with the predictions. First, I guess an overall Week 3 expectation. This is something new, I guess. Last week had a lot of really good games. I mean, maybe some sleepers, don't get me wrong. But overall, like a pretty high-scoring, intense football games, a tie, a lot of missed fucking extra point and field goals from the Vikings and Browns respectively, all sorts of all sorts of stuff. This week looks like a little bit less interesting. I don't know. I'm not expecting a lot of exciting games. I'm expecting a lot of blowouts and a lot of sleepers. So sorry, but not to get you not hyped, but start with the first game tomorrow. The Jets and the Browns are going at it. Both teams lost last week after not losing the week before. Granted, Cleveland still hasn't won a game, but at least the Jets have. And this is that Cleveland, which doesn't really give too much of an advantage, except for a bunch of fans that are a fan of a team that never wins. But whatever. That's besides the point. I can't really speak too much. But, on paper, this is a good game. I think both of these teams are about equal skill level. Maybe actually the Browns slightly more, although now with Gordon out, that's hard to say. At least defensively, they're pretty even. The Jets are pretty decent, but not great. And the Browns are pretty decent, but not great. Offensively, I don't know. Tyrod Taylor did go head-to-head against the Saints last week. Almost beat them if it wasn't for their fucking kicker. And the Jets, Sam Darnold has his moments when he's not turning over the ball or looking like a rookie. So it's really hard to tell which team is better. And I really think this game could be one that goes either way, Browns or Jets. But me, what am I going with? I'm going to play it a little bit safe. I'm going to go with the Jets. The Browns haven't won a game yet. And honestly, from my heart, I'm not going to pick them until they do. And this week might be the week. I think I might be sacrificing this just to stick on this hill. They haven't won a game. I ain't picking them. And that means I'm going to be wrong eventually, or maybe not, but most likely. And this may be the week the Browns finally win a game in over 2 years. It could happen. Or I guess not exactly. Around 2 years. Almost 2 years. Whatever. It's been a long time since the Browns won. All right, and it could happen this week, but I am not putting my money where my heart is. The Jets are winning this game. There we go. Next one, Vikings and Bills. Do I really even need to talk about this? The Bills have a mess at quarterback. They have guys retiring at halftime. There's no chance the Bills are winning this game, and I will say that honestly. The Vikings actually didn't look phenomenal last week against the Packers. They did end up tying it, but they didn't look stellar. Kirk Cousins definitely has some kinks to come work out, so I guess he's Kink Cousins for now. But I don't know. Man, if the Browns can't fucking score on what seems like a very mediocre defense from both the Chargers and the Ravens, at least the Ravens have a very mediocre defense. The Chargers are all right. Then there's no way they're scoring in this Vikings defense. And Kirk Cousins is going to have a day. If you have him in fantasy, play him, because this is going to be a bloodbath. Going with Vikings, a high-scoring game, although all the scores will be on one team. The Bills, which I think are the worst team in the NFL, better be looking forward to the number 1 overall draft pick. That's what I would be if I were a Bills fan. And I'll say that loud and proud with no hesitation. Speaking of high draft picks and disappointments, the Giants and the Texans. 2 disappointing teams. One of them my own. Let me just say, I did a little rant on Twitch the other day and on YouTube. I am disgusted with the New York Giants. I am a huge New York Giants fan, and they have been playing terribly. I've picked them both times, and both times were a mistake. They got destroyed last week against the Cowboys. Their offense looked terrible. Their defense comparable, but still disgusting. The Houston Texans don't look much better. They lost to a broken down Tennessee Titans with their best, some of their best defensive and offensive, including their quarterback players, hurt. They still lost. So I think, wholeheartedly, the Giants could win this game. But I'm still picking the Texans. Yeah, that's right. I'm picking against my own team because I don't have confidence in them. As much as I love Saquon Barkley, as much as I think Odell Beckham's great, as much as I praise defensive players like Snacks and Collins and all the praise I have for this, I think really good team. Their O-line needs to get their shit together. Their coaching and their play calling is hot garbage. And we're seeing Eli Manning, obviously, near the end of his career. He's not what he used to be. But there's a lot wrong with this team, and I just cannot see them winning this game. And just like the Browns, I'm not going to pick the Giants until they win. I think the Giants may be the fourth worst team in the NFL. I think maybe the Cardinals, the Bills, and I could probably maybe put one other team down below them that's worse than them, but they're bad. They're bad. There's no denying that. So until they get their shit together, I ain't picking them. And they have a tough schedule. This is probably last week and this week were their easiest games. If they blow this, they're looking at best 4 wins or 5 wins. But if they can win this one, maybe they could get around 6 or 7. I don't know. We'll see. They need to get their shit together quick. I don't think they're going to fire their coach after 1 year, but I would be, if they do, I'd be afraid if I was the head coach because it's not looking good. Going with the Texans on this one, I think they just match up well against the Giants. I think their offense will slow them down. But the Giants won't be able to do anything on offense. Their O-line will be bad. The Texans are going to get a lot of sacks. And at the end of the day, J.J. Watt will look pretty good. Finally gets first sack of the season. And the Texans will actually come alive against the New York Giants. Next game, the Green Bay Packers versus the Redskins. Let's talk about this one. The Redskins didn't look good. They did not look good last week against the Colts. They looked pretty atrocious. All in all, really did not look that good. Which is why I'm not too confident. And then the Packers looked pretty well, but they pulled a Bears or a reverse bear. They blew the game, although they were lucky Minnesota wasn't able to capitalize off it. So Alex Smith may be able to play against Green Bay's defense, but Aaron Rodgers will be able to do the exact same. And if it comes to a shootout, I am always going to put my money on Aaron Rodgers, which I think it will. I think Aaron Rodgers and the Packers will pull out. If the Colts can beat the Redskins that bad, then I think the Packers will have no problem. I don't think the Redskins are a super talented team. I really don't think they're all that good. I think they actually, on paper, are the weakest team in the NFC East, but obviously that proves to not be the case as they are currently tied for first place. But I am still going to go with the Green Bay Packers here, who I think are one of the best teams in football right now. How long that will last, I don't think it's going to last all season, but I think against a team like Washington, Green Bay will have no problems whatsoever. San Francisco versus Kansas City. Let's talk about that. Last week, Kansas City went ham. Patrick Mahomes looking really sharp. 10 touchdowns in 2 games. Pretty good. Although, remember, they did play against the Chargers and the Pittsburgh defense last week, which I don't think are really two stellar defenses. Not to play down the Kansas City offense and Andy Reid's coaching. It looked really good, although they did almost blow the game. But the Steelers just couldn't capitalize because they're a fucking disaster, as we will get into later. But they could capitalize. San Fran's still sort of that team where I really don't know. They can be good, they can be bad, they can look good, they can look bad. I think they're mediocre. I don't think their defense is that great. I just don't think they're really, I don't know. I just don't have too much faith in them. They almost lost the Lions last week. I know almost is almost. A win's a win, a loss is a loss. But I don't know. Maybe they'll almost beat the Chiefs. But I think the Chiefs are hot. I don't think the Chiefs are necessarily a Super Bowl team yet. They are known to blow it, but they always get in a hot start. They always go like 5-0, sometimes even 6-0, and then lose like a bunch of games at the end of the season. So I think they're on that hot streak. I think San Fran doesn't have a chance to contest, and I'm going with Kansas City. Do not get me wrong. I think the Chiefs, or rather, I think San Fran could win this game, but I just don't I don't know, man. The Chiefs are hot. When they got hot, they're hot. They're at home. Like I gotta go with the Chiefs here. I think the San Fran is a mediocre team. I just don't think that they are, the team to beat Kansas City. Even though Kansas City's defense has a lot of question marks, I just gotta go with Kansas City here. I think they got this one down. All right. Raiders and Dolphins. This one's a hard game for me to pick. The Dolphins are 2-0 while the Raiders are 0-2. So looking at this on paper, it should be like, well, 2-0 team. But I don't know. The Raiders did almost beat the Broncos last week, which I think are a decent team at best. But I just don't really, I don't know. The coaching isn't that great, and Derek Carr really isn't looking that good. But I also haven't been watching the Dolphins enough to whether to know they're like really that good or not. Like, I really don't know. Yes, they looked really good against the Jets last week, but that's the Jets. They looked good against the Titans, but again, that's the Titans. They have an easy schedule, that's for sure. If I was a Miami fan, I'd be hyped because their schedule is really easy, and they got to face easy teams like the Raiders here, which I think they can beat, because I don't think the Raiders defense is that good, especially since they got rid of Mac. They really haven't been doing too much defensively. They did hold the Broncos to some points, but then they blew it in the second half. Offensively, too, they really don't look that good. I don't see them as a team scoring, at most scoring in the low 20s and really not going higher than that. I could say the same for the Dolphins, but I just think the Dolphins are at home. They're a little hot. They're looking pretty good. I don't know. I just think the Dolphins are a better team. And that's honestly, I really do believe the Dolphins are going to win this game. Although I could see the Raiders winning this game, too. I could see them coming out of nowhere. They have a lot of talent. But with coaching and just mediocre quarterback play, I really don't see them really putting anything together. And they're defensively, they don't look that good either. So I'm going with the Dolphins. Next team, Colts and Eagles. I'm sure Eagles fans are very happy. Carson Wentz is coming back. And I will be fully honest, if Carson Wentz was not coming back, I would pick the Colts. That doesn't mean I'm not going to pick the Colts. I'm just saying, if Nick Foles was starting, I was going to pick the Colts. Let's talk about it, though. The Colts looked very good against the Redskins, but again, the Redskins are the Redskins. Defensively, they looked really good, which was a shock because that's usually not the case for the Colts. Their defense, I don't think, is really that great. Offensively, they're pretty good. They're running the ball, throwing the ball, again, against the Redskins defense, but what about the Eagles? They lost to the Bucs. Now, the Bucs may be the real deal, but Ryan Fitzpatrick made it look like the Eagles defense was subpar at best. Like, they looked bad. So even with Carson Wentz back, defensively, they're just not that equipped, I don't think, to match up against Andrew Luck. And I think Carson Wentz is kind of going to be a mystery coming in here. Is he going to be good? Is he going to struggle? What's going to happen? But at the end of the day, despite me saying all I just said, I'm still going to play it safe. I'm going to pick the Eagles. I think this is going to be a close game. I think Carson Wentz is going to play mediocre. It may not really have a huge effect on the game. I think the fact that they're at home is going to have an effect on the game. I think the Colts and Andrew Luck will look pretty decently, but I just don't think they're going to be able to beat the Eagles. I think they looked maybe underperformed against the Colts, both with Carson Wentz coming back. That locker room and the defense as well, specifically, may look like they're ready to play and may not underplay to Andrew Luck. They probably all know how good he is. And I think they're going to come up with a win here. I think it's going to be close. I want the Colts to win, obviously, but I just think the Eagles have a good chance of winning this game. And that's why I'm going with them. All right, Tennessee and Jacksonville. Tennessee looked not too great last week at all. Like, they looked pretty bad. They still won, though. They still beat the Texans, which was shocking. With everyone heard how the Texans blew that. Maybe it just goes to show how the Texans aren't that good. But the Jaguars, are they the best team in football? I am still going to say the Rams are number one. But I think the Jaguars are a close second. They just beat the Patriots pretty bad. I know the Patriots looked like they were making a small comeback, but they really didn't. The Jaguars dominated that game, not only defensively, which is what they always dominate, but offensively too. Blake Bortles looked really good. They had a lot of good receivers. Despite having Fournette out, which I think he's going to be back for this game, Yeah, they're looking like really good. So I gotta go with the Jags here. I think offensively and defensively they're way better than the Titans, especially defensively. The Titans really aren't that good. I think this is going to be a high scoring game. I'm thinking like in the high 30s. I think the Titans may even score like 10 or 15 points, or 17 points rather, because the Jaguars will just let them at the end of the game. They'll let up a little bit, but I think the Jaguars are winning this game. And if the Jaguars don't win this game, I'll eat my words. But I think they're going to easily win this game. This is the lock for me. Out of all the games here, there's probably only one more game I say is a lock. Actually, there's probably one more game that's more of a lock. Actually, there is one more game, but besides that, this is like a lock for me. So, next game, Bengals, Panthers. Who am I picking? The Bengals are 2-0, just like the Buccaneers. Kind of came out of nowhere. A.J. Green looking really, really good. And the Panthers lost to the Falcons last week, which raises some question marks. Offensively, the Panthers look mediocre. They're not really like scoring a lot of points. And the Bengals are scoring a shit ton of points and looking good offensively and defensively. So, on paper, there should be a Bengals win. However, I think this is actually going to be a very close game. I actually do think the Panthers are going to come out with the win. Barely. I think this is the Bengals' first loss. But I think it's going to be close. I can see the Bengals winning this. I can see the Panthers winning this. I'm just going with the Panthers. I think it's a safer pick. I know the Bengals have played better and look better than the Panthers this year, but I'm just going to go with the Panthers here. I think the defense for the Bengals, while good, I think Cam Newton will be able to expose them. I know they're missing Olsen, which is probably the biggest weakness and might be how the Bengals win this game. But I'm just going to play it safe. I just, for some reason, have confidence in the Panthers. I might be the only one, but I think that they're going to win this game. I don't think they're going to go too far in this season, not even necessarily win their division, but I think that they have a good chance of winning this game. I just have some confidence in them, I guess. I don't really know. But the Broncos and Ravens, they're up. Let's get to it. A 2-0 team with the Broncos. Some are surprised. I am not. I did pick them to do pretty well. Even though they made a comeback last week, and even in week 1, they really didn't look that good. Despite both wins, they weren't like convincing wins, but a win is a win is a win. And that's why I think the Broncos have a good chance of winning this game. The Ravens look all right. They looked really bad against the Bengals last week, but week 1 they dominated the Bills. But is that even really saying anything? Does that even matter? I'm going with the Broncos here. I think they have a better defense, way better defense. The Falcons. I keep calling them the Falcons. What the fuck? The Ravens defense isn't really too convincing to me. Like, they just don't look that good. And I think, even though I don't think the Broncos' offense with Case Keenum is like incredible, I think they're solid enough to score some points and end up winning this game against the Ravens. So I'm going with the Broncos on this one. The next game, this game pains me to pick because this is probably the hardest one for me. The Saints and the Falcons. Now the Saints have not looked that good. There's no denying that. They lost to the Buccaneers, which again, the Buccaneers may be the real deal, but they still lost. And they almost lost to the Browns with that field goal kicker. Their defense is pretty atrocious, I think. It's not that good, despite last year looking really good. Their running game has suffered, and their offense in general has suffered with Ingram out. Drew Brees looks as good as ever, but he just doesn't have as many weapons. The Falcons' defense, meanwhile, looks not incredible, but good or average at best, or around average. Their offense, though, could use a little work. They did do well against the Panthers, but then against the Eagles. But I don't know, man. I just have faith in the Falcons. That's why I'm going to pick them to win this game. I think the Saints' defense is just rusty. I think with losing against the Bucs and almost losing to the Browns, I think the Falcons have this one in the bag. Not convincingly. I think this would be a closer game. My gut is almost telling me to say no and pick the Saints, but I don't know, man. I just until I see it, I'm not picking them, and I don't see it, so I'm going with the Falcons. Next one. Now this one is one of the more. This one is one of the more decisive games for me. LA versus LA. Rams are at home, but that's really no advantage because 1, they're both playing the same stadium, and 2, they never have home field advantage in any circumstance. The Chargers did win last week, okay? But remember who they played? The Bills. And the Bills did score like 15 points, which is a lot for Bill standards with a shitty quarterback. They did dominate them. Again, the Bills. Flip side of the coin, the Rams destroyed the Cardinals. It was the most I said they were going to destroy them, and they did. And they beat the Raiders. Again, two teams that aren't great. So maybe on paper, these are just two teams that got lucky and are playing bad teams. But I don't think that's true. I think the Rams are the real deal, and the Chargers are kind of the real deal. They're not like the real deal, but they're nothing to mess with, I think. But the Rams, listen, their defense is stacked as shit. All right, I know the Cardinals didn't score any points last week, and that may be because of the Cardinals' offense, but the Rams still defended it, and the Rams' defense is really, really good. The Chargers' defense is kind of good, but their offense, I think the Rams have a way better offense, way more weapons, way more power. So I'm going with the Rams here. I think they're going to win this one pretty easily. I think maybe the Chargers will contest at first, like maybe the first quarter or like the first quarter and a half, maybe a little like there might be some contending going on. But I think at the end of the day, the Rams are going to win this game more convincingly than not. So going with the Rams on this one. Getting to the bottom couple of games, only 4 games left. Start off with Bears versus Cardinals. Oof. The Bears looked really good against Seattle on Monday night. Granted, that was Seattle. Let's not kid ourselves. I don't think Seattle's really that good, especially defensively. And the Bears did turn over a few times. However, Arizona's the only team to not score a single point last week. Their quarterback game is a question mark, kind of like the Bills. And their defense is just pretty damn weak. They have some weapons, but they don't really have anything around them. And I think they're going to continue to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. The Bears, however, are turning it around. They've been bad for so many years at this point. Like, when was the last time they were good? Since, like, they were in the Super Bowl. I think they had some all-right seasons between there and there when they made the playoffs, like, a few times, I think. But all in all, they've been pretty terrible the past couple of years. But they're making a comeback. They beat the Packers, but the Packers came back and ended up winning that game. And they looked really good against Seattle. And I think Seattle's a better team than the Cardinals here, which is why I'm going with the Bears. I think defensively, they're incredible defensively. They got Mac. They have so many goddamn weapons, sacks, and all that shit. They're good defensively. Offensively, still a couple question marks. I'm not too sold on Trubisky yet. Still some, and they don't really have too many weapons. I know they have a kind of decent running game, but still, it's against the Cardinals. I think the Bears will win this pretty convincingly. The Cardinals will actually score points though, because they aren't the Rams, but they aren't the Rams defense. They actually may end up having a better defense at the end of the year, but the Cardinals will score a little bit, but the Bears will win this one pretty easily. Speaking of Seahawks, this one's hard for me. This one's not hard to pick. I actually have an easy pick. I just don't want to pick this because I haven't picked this team all year, and they just beat my team. You probably know who I'm going to pick then. But the Seahawks, listen, they don't look too good, all right? Russell Wilson is Russell Wilson, and that's not a bad thing. Russell Wilson, I think, is the most underrated quarterback in the league. I think he's one of the best in the league. I really do. I think he does not get enough credit. Everyone says Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, those two are probably the best, but Russell Wilson is at least in third place and deserves to be in that conversation. He is really, really that good. Really that good. Still, though, he got sacked a shit ton last week against the good Bears defense. Their offensive line looks bad. They really don't have too many weapons offensively, and especially defensively. They don't really have anything, and I could say the same thing for the Cowboys. Defensively, they're really good, actually. They're not really good. They're good. They're good. Defensively, they have a pretty good team. Just like the Seahawks has a bad offensive line. They got destroyed last week. Just like the Giants have a bad offensive line. The Cowboys destroyed them last week. I think that's the same thing's going to happen here. I think the Cowboys are going to win this one. I don't think offensively they're going to be that good. I think maybe, what's his name? Elliott will have a good amount of rush yards and maybe even a touchdown, maybe 1 or 2 rush touchdowns actually. But I don't think Dak Prescott's going to do anything incredible, but I think that they're going to win this game both pretty much defensively, stopping and destroying the Seattle Seahawks and end up just kind of beating them. which I hate to do. I hate to pick the Cowboys. The Cowboys are the one team I hate to pick the most. Well, actually, it's tied. Well, no, it's not tied. I hate picking the Cowboys the most. There's another team I hate picking the most, too, and they're up next. Patriots. Lions. Can we move on from this one now? Yep. Moving on. Steelers and... Okay, no. I'll entertain this one. The Lions don't look that good. The Lions do not look good at all. Yes, they almost beat San Fran, but how good are they? Their defense looks pretty rough, and offensively, they really just never seem to get it started. Granted, I don't think the Pats' defense is that good. Jaguars ran over them last week, and they've always struggled with defense in the past couple of years, especially the first couple games of the season. I think that will remain the case here. I think the Lions will actually score some points. However, I think the Patriots will score just as many, not even just as many, but way more. I think the Pats have this in the bag. I hope the Lions win, but man, I don't think it's going to happen. The evil empire will continue to grow. They'll be 2-1, although they just got lucky, man. They're going to play the Texans and the Lions. They played one good team, and look how bad they look. Whatever, though. Pats will win this game. Not too much question there. Last game. Steelers and Bucks, two completely different teams. One team with a lot of hope and disappointment, and one team with no hope and expectations. Let's start with the Buccaneers. Fitzpatrick looks incredible. Week 1, I said, wait till next week. That's why I didn't pick him. Week 2, I'm like, wait, he'll throw some picks. He didn't throw any picks. Well, I think he actually threw one pick, but yeah, I think he threw one interception. But fuck, Jesus Christ, he came alive. Fitzmagic is real. I'm buying in on it. I'm serious. I'm buying in on it. At least against bad defenses. I mean, the Eagles' defense is good, and they destroy them, and the Saints' defense isn't that good. But Steelers' defense, they just gave up a shit ton of points to Kansas City Chiefs, which Kansas City has a good offense. They also have a bad defense, and Steelers, or not bad, but not good, a good defense, and the Steelers scored a good amount of points there. And that's where I'm a little concerned with the Bucks. Although my boy JPP, go JPP, mad respect, Super Bowl champion for the Giants, is on that team. Their defense is still a lot of question marks. Like, are they really good? Are they not good? Hard to say. But man, the Steelers I don't know, with the whole Bell still not around, Antonio Brown now causing some problems and causing some drama. The coaching is just no control over the team. And the Bucks are at home and they look alive. I think this is going to continue. I don't think the Bucks are necessarily going to do this the whole season, but I think Fitzmagic is going to continue and they're going to beat the Steelers pretty convincingly. I think this is going to be a Chiefs game. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. Like, I think this would be almost a mirror of the Chiefs game. The Bucks would be the Chiefs. The Steelers would be the Steelers. The Steelers are going to score a lot of points, and they'll look decent, actually. They won't look bad. They have not looked bad. Maybe against the Browns they looked a little rough, but they haven't really looked too bad. All year they didn't look good like they used to, but they haven't looked terrible. And I don't think they look terrible here, but I think the Bucks will outshine them with some drama on every teammates. The defense playing pretty poorly ever since last year, since Shazier got hurt. I'm going with the Bucks. Easy pick. All right. That's my week 3 predictions. Again, my picks are the Jets, the Vikings, the Texans, the Packers, the Chiefs, the Dolphins, the Eagles, the Jags, the Panthers, the Broncos, the Falcons, the Rams, the Bears, the Cowboys, the Pats, and the Bucks. Those are all my picks. How wrong will I be? Well, I went 6 for 15 and now 7 for 15. Cross fingers for no ties, and I'll go 8 and 16, or I guess 8 and 15 would be better. So maybe we'll hope for some ties, but I hope I do well. I think some of these picks, I'm pretty confident in a lot of these picks. So there were some ones last week I'm like, this can go either way. But this week, I think there are some games that are very convincing, and I think I'm pretty happy with my picks. I think I'm gonna do a great job. So, guys, thanks so much for watching. I hope to see you guys I will see you guys next Wednesday for Week 4 predictions, and we'll see how well I predicted this. Let me know how wrong I am, either on Twitch or in the YouTube comments. Let me know, or tweet at me. My Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, all STSman1117. Go check out all my content, especially on my Twitch. I have a shit ton of stuff there. See you guys soon.